Combat Talk with the King. We back, babies. Situations is getting brighter. The fights are getting hyper. Now, I wanted to do this with Earl Spence when he was going to fight Pacquiao, right? I wanted to come back to the YouTube scene with that big fight. And that would have set up something else. But right now, we have something that we haven't seen in a long time, an undisputed champion. The first undisputed champion in the super middleweight division. Now, if this could be done by Canelo, is the first Mexican unified champion at super middleweight ever. He is going for Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.'s title of probably one of the best Mexican fighters to come out of Mexico. Okay, so when you hear Canelo talking, you're hearing a lot about legacy. You're hearing a lot about his history, a lot about what he wants the world to remember him by. Now we have Caleb Sweethand Plant. And Caleb Plant, he seems unassuming. You're looking at him, he's the IBF champion. He stands, I think, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. He's an orthodox fighter. 0 losses. And he's a counterpuncher boxer. Okay, not too heavy on the power. But if you don't know Caleb Plant, he only has 12 knockouts. So that means that, you can say the majority of his fights, if you look at it, I think he's like a 62% knockout artist, if that high, probably 48%. I probably got the ratios backwards. That lets you know that he's there to box. So Caleb Plant, you may not know him, and we know Canelo for his I believe it's 56 victories with 38 knockouts, with 1 loss. So we understand exactly who Canelo is. He's been a pay-per-view fighter for a very long time. I believe this is Caleb Plant's first pay-per-view. So let's get the elephant out the room. Everybody assumes that this right now is Canelo's crowning day. Why wouldn't you believe that? He has fought the likes of Miguel Cotto, Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Shane. He has fought individuals that make you say he's an icon. He's a legend. He's the walking embodiment of the Mexican spirit. Why wouldn't this night be any other than the same thing that we always see from him? But in the back of your mind, you have something itching. In the back of your mind, you remember that boy Floyd. Canelo's first title shot, right? How hard is it to win your first title shot? I guess you have all these jitters. This is the first big pay-per-view you're going through. This is some crazy stuff here, right? So he goes through, and what does Floyd does? He beats him. He beats the young boy. Now, it was a split decision. I didn't see it as a split decision. I thought Floyd beat him straight out, right? But understand, when there's buying power behind a fighter, promoters, he was being promoted by Golden Boy at the time, and we will get into that. Boxing is corrupt, let's be real. So one of those is in pocket, but the bigger motor was behind Floyd. Shout out to Al Heyman. Money team. Floyd took him to school, caught the boy when he was green, danced on him. See, Floyd is a defensively sound master when it comes to defense. And when it comes to defense, foot placement, arm placement, body position means a lot. It's just not how you keep your hands up here is what you do with your feet, your hands, your body, and everything at all times. So he's defensively sound, and he's an offensive genius. Places punches. Doesn't have to throw a lot. Back to the two combatants. Canelo Alvarez is defensively sound, offensively a masterpiece, and probably right now one of the complete fighters that we have fighting today. He avoids a certain type of fighter that can give him the level of difficulty that he does not want to face. Enter Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant is, like I told you, a boxing counterpuncher with not too much power, but just enough to let you know who the hell he is at all times. He has an open hand style of combat, much like Pernell Whitaker. But Pernell Whitaker was more defensively sound. Caleb Plant is just the same as Pernell Whitaker if you watch it, but not a southpaw. What gave Pernell Whitaker, rest in peace, Sweet Pea, the edge was he was a southpaw with this style. Didn't clinch much. Caleb Plant doesn't clinch much. He uses foot placement, hand speed, and timing to offset his opponents. Perfectly placed shot here, followed by a perfectly placed shot here. Then you find yourself on the canvas looking up like, how the hell did I get here? And it wasn't hard shots. And he narrowly escapes defeat. His first title fight for the IBF championship, it was kind of rough at certain points, but he controlled the fight at all times. So let's get to the prediction area. There's things in both fighters that we like. So if we're going to go for power, we're going to have to give Canelo a 10. If we're going to go for speed, we're going to have to give Canelo a 7, 8. I give him an 8, a solid 8, because he's not the fastest, but he definitely counterpunches like one of the best. When we go to sharpness, we're going to give Canelo a 10 because he's sharp. See, timing beats speed all the time. Canelo has perfect timing. So when we go to timing, Canelo gets a 10. When we go to foot movement, Canelo can be flat-footed at times, so we're going to have to give him a 6. Durability, we're going to have to give Canelo a 10. We haven't seen Canelo cut up, beat up, broken in any fight. So overall, this fighter is standing at a 9.5, right? Going in, we know exactly who he is. Caleb Plant going into this fight, we're going to say boxing ability, a 10. Defensive prowess, we're going to give him a 7 because he can be hit. And how he takes shots is going to be the key asset in this fight. Footwork makes him outstanding when it comes to this situation because his foot placement, hand placement makes him a tactician. So we're going to go with sharpness. He's not as sharp as Canelo. No, not at all. Combination punches. He does better combinations than Canelo. So the overall rating of this fighter that you would give when you go to durability, you can't give him a great durability rating because I will give his durability a 5. That will come into factor into this fight. So the rating that I will give this fighter going into this fight during the criteria that I'm looking at, and I don't judge the criteria as the same. I'm just talking about the positives. I'm talking about a little bit of negatives. But when I group them the same, when I group them into position, I give Caleb Plant an 8.4 as a fighter. Now, we want to see if the champ has lost a step, and we're talking about Canelo. We also want to see if Caleb Plant can ascend to the champ's level. Is this his fight to show the world who he is? Can he put it all together? One night, one fight for all the chips, all the marbles. Can he do it? This is the question that we ask ourselves. Now, a betting man will say this. A betting man will give Canelo the KO late round. Corner stoppage. Caleb Plant face can't hold up. Canelo becomes the undisputed super middleweight champion. Canelo weighed in at 168. Caleb Plant weighed in at 167. But there's something here. Caleb Plant has a little bit of something extra. He has that moxie, that arrogance, that swagger that is needed. He has that rhythm that we only see in some of the great African American fighters. He has a swag that is undeniable. He has a confidence that is unshakable. And it should be, because you know what he has that Canelo doesn't have? That O. When it comes to losses. So when they're stating 56 and 46 knockouts, when the one loss by Floyd Money Mayweather, there was one dude out there who beat you, Canelo has to eat that. When Caleb Plant steps up there and it says 20-0 with 12 knockouts, there was nobody that figured out that puzzle. Remember when I tell you, it's hard to teach an undefeated fighter how to lose. Their heart don't know it. Canelo knows what defeat smells like. He's been there. It's probably a little bit removed from his mind. But can Caleb Plant make him remember why he avoids fighters of this nature? I picked Caleb Plant by 12-round split decision. If I'm a betting man and I'm betting cash, I'm going to put my cash on Canelo. And I'm going to say by late round stoppage, which would be probably the 9th round or 8th round. But I'm going with my heart here. And I think sometimes you get a little bit of magic. And that little bit of magic might be that thing that keeps Caleb Plant undefeated at the end of the night. This is Combat Talk with the King. Back to be back, baby. I love it. Nothing like this. Watch the fight. Talk to me tomorrow on Iron Lords Podcast, 11 a.m. during football season. Tell me how wrong I was, or come bend the knee to the king. A lot of people do it.